Well, hello. This is what I believe will be the first of some little mini Bible studies that I will do toward the end of each week. Because I'm not with you every week, I just wanted to sometimes connect with the previous Sunday's readings with the upcoming Sunday's readings. Because quite often these readings were meant to be read linearly. They're stories, they tie into one another, and they're not meant to be separated quite as much as we often separate them. So I wanted to talk a little bit about last week, Matthew 10:24 through 39. Last week was a difficult reading. I'm sure it was difficult to listen to, perhaps, because it talked a lot about families being separated, about friends being separated, about people disowning you because you believe differently. It sort of feels like it goes against everything we're taught to love one another and all this. And here's Jesus instead talking about separation and family separations and all this discord. But I think that Jesus is actually speaking to our human nature, because the reality is that that is how we sometimes behave. Families have differences and stop speaking to each other. Churches can have differences and stop speaking. Communities, and certainly in our nation right now, we have some differences. Differences that cause people to end lifelong friendships, that cause people to end familial relationships. This seems to be somehow the nature of being human. We somehow get fearful or something when we are confronted with somebody who thinks differently than we do. So I think that what Jesus was talking about in many ways last week was this nature of ours to immediately react to another person who doesn't believe quite like we do. And I just want to share with you that when I went to seminary, I was a little nervous. Hadn't been in a church in quite a while, actually. Not a Christian church. I'd been attending a Unitarian church where they don't really talk much about God or the Bible. And when I got there, I was very wary. But one of the first things I learned, which I found was really refreshing, is that there was not one way that everybody believed the same thing or interpreted things the same way. Even within denominations, each individual had a different interpretation, a different understanding of Scripture. And that's the important thing about Scripture, is what our experiences, our life, we bring that with us when we encounter Scripture. We find things in Scripture that speak to us that may speak differently to somebody else. And that is actually the beauty of Scripture, I think. That it is not just one way, but many ways, because life is like that. Life is complex and beautiful and wonderful, and sometimes painful, and sometimes difficult, and sometimes confusing. And that's what Scripture gives to us. But our job as Christians is to find God within that. So as you go about this next 24 hours till I see you next week, I hope, or tomorrow, I hope you take a little time to reflect upon that, to reflect upon those places in your life where you have encountered or still are encountering friction with others, with maybe some family relationships, some church relationships, some community relationships, those places where to be able to understand one another has become difficult. So I will leave you with those thoughts for today, and I will see you tomorrow at 9:30 outside on the lawn. And I also have to give a great big shout out for the rain this morning, because what a beautiful gift. I'm just loving it, which I hate to say after the spring that we had, but it is wonderful to feel that gentle, damp breeze coming through. So anyway, God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow. God's peace.